Hi, everyone. It's John Galante, president of AE Ventures, and I'm here for another one in our series of Arc of Achievement Legends interviews. And with me today, representing Crestron, which is one of the originals really in home control, is JoAnn Arcenal, who
Yeah.
is the Director of Residential Business Development in North America for Crestron Electronics, which is based in Rockley, New Jersey, right?
That's
So,
correct.
so I'm going to ask you some questions, but I'm gonna wax a little bit
Okay.
historical on my experience with Crestron, which goes back to the days when you were in Crestkill, New Jersey, before you moved to your fancy new headquarters right near the Verrazano Bridge there. But it was late 90s. I was with what was then the Consumer Electronics Association and is now CTA. And I dropped in to call on Randy Klein and on Roseanne Lang.
Yes.
And
Yes.
really got to know Crestron very well over the years. When I first stopped in there, I was amazed at your factory, which was so much custom manufacturing, right? There was
Um,
these push carts, like Rubbermaid push carts that were bringing electronic components through
the,
the different stages of the, not just assembly, but the burn-in, right? So there was a lot of custom programming of the electronics that happened on the factory floor. It was not like a high volume manufacturing operation. Technology and programming controls and such has changed so much since the late 90s. But like I said, Crestron was one of the originals. And why don't you
uh,
take it from there and give us a little bit more? You weren't around in the late '90s for Crestron, but I'm sure you know a lot about the history and development of the company. So kick us off there, JoAnn.
Yeah. So, like you said, we used to be based in Crestkill. We were actually founded in 1972. So, we actually just recently celebrated 50 years in the market, which is
Wow.
quite a feat, especially in technology. So, you would imagine there's a lot of evolution that has to occur for any manufacturer to be successful for so long. You had visited the site, you had visited our facility, and yes, a lot has evolved since then. Like I said, since 1972, we've been in the area, we've been in this space for technology. We are the biggest innovator in creating technologies to remove barriers as far as communication, comfort, simplicity, when we're talking especially about the home. So this evolution, you've visited our facility, you know that a lot has changed, but some things are the same. So you said there's a lot of custom work that goes into all of our products. What's custom now? We do have still, working around the big facility that we have. A lot of that now is automated. A lot of it is now streamlined. But what we have not changed is that we test every single component that is shipped out of our facility. So it's not just spot checking one out of every 50, 60, how many. Each component that is shipped out of our facility is tested individually.
Wow. And
Yeah,
how many, you're a privately held company still?
that's correct. Correct. Yes.
Congratulations, 50 years of being privately held. How
uh,
many employees now worldwide? You're in the thousands, right?
Yes. So we are over 4,000. We have global offices across several continents. So we do have that global reach, that global support that all of our network can enjoy. So we are the manufacturer. We do work through a certified dealer network. So even just our dealer network, in the United States, we have over 500 dealers across the US. So
Got,
we do have a great span out there.
gotcha. And a lot of commercial business on the AV control and building automation side of things, but tell us a little bit about the residential market, who your targets are on the end user side of things at the consumer level, and we'll talk about channel stuff in a little bit, but let's talk about the end users, the consumers, for a bit. Your sweet spot.
Yeah. So we have evolved quite a bit. That's kind of the theme here, right? So in the past, Crestron was really it was not as accessible as it is today. So in the past, because it did require a lot of custom programming, it was really just a product that was serving a certain demographic. But now with the introduction, we've evolved. We've introduced Crestron Home, which is now a platform that is more configuration based. It requires a lot less custom programming, if at all. And we are accessible to all markets out there. So there really isn't just one demographic that we are targeting. We really are there for the masses.
Yep. And talk a little bit about the product portfolio. There's a big taxonomy of products in the home technology space. Your heart is your control platform, but you also manufacture a lot of the specific applications. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, John. So there are a lot of brands out there. Crestron is actually the only brand that engineers, manufactures, and then supports the full smart home environment. So like you said, we have the control system and then everything underneath there in your major control system. So we have the audio, the video, HVAC controls, your lighting, your shades. We manufacture all of that. So it's talking the same language, it's speaking the same, code and all of that. So it really does make us unique. It really does bring us outside of, the rest of the brands out there and makes us stand out, because when you have that one manufacturer that can give you that entire smart home, you have that reliability, that flexibility that we have because we are manufacturing everything. And again, everything is speaking that same language. It really does make such a huge difference when you're creating that entire whole home environment.
Right. And so you make and you have the ability to deliver in all these categories, whether it's lighting or shade control or media distribution, but you also accommodate third-party players on your platform as well, correct? If someone wants a different brand, or the different brand has the right specific solution for an end user, that's part of your MO too, is to accommodate that stuff. It's not a walled off garden, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So we do integrate with third parties out there. And what's great is that we have certified engineered partners as well. So some of our partners, we do have testing that goes on within our own facility. And we actually have our communication chips integrated right into their products. So it can integrate within Crestron's ecosystem as if it was native Crestron product. Even when they're not engineered partners of ours, we do have CSPs out there. These are programmers out there that create these extensions. So you can actually integrate within Crestron with a driver or this extension that allows us to bring it right in. And again, it's tested, it's vetted by these professionals that are able to do so and can speak very confidently in that integration.
Very good. Let's talk a little bit about your go-to market. You've got channel partners at the integration level. Talk a little bit about that. And then, like, for our audience, obviously, it's builders and multifamily companies who are tuned into our community and channels here. So let's get to how you and your channel partners typically are working with builders.
Yeah. So on the builder side, I mean, there's nothing like being part of the community. So understanding what's important to the community, taking part in TecHome builder summits, right? So we're right there. We're understanding what is important to the builder community and all the specifier communities, really. We work with the interior designers, the architects, of course, the builders, developers, so that we can understand what is important. That's really, again, the success of Crestron for so long. It really depends on understanding what the channel requires and what the channel needs to be successful partners of ours. So,
the Crestron team and folks like yourself and Sonia are working closely with builders to understand their needs and the specifications, but then you're connecting them typically with an integration partner or even training existing integrators they might be working with. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when we understand what a specific builder needs, we're not just going to a database and finding out geographically who is the best fit, who is, the X amount of miles from this particular build. We get an understanding of the scope. We understand what scope technologically is going in there, the timeline of that scope, and of course the geography comes into play. And then we refer all of our, some of our certified integrators to this builder so that they can get a feel for them, have as many conversations as you'd like, research them. We leave it up to, of course, the builder, but we make those referrals based on those criteria, not just, seeing who is geographically closest. So it is important for us to give you exactly what you need.
Very good. This is an Arc of Achievement Award. It's kind of like a Lifetime Achievement Award. So let's talk a little bit more about the kind of the timeline. Can you point to, let's focus on the residential side of things, some of the key product achievements over the years that you would call out for Crestron?
So for Crestron, I mean, again, it's this evolution. So we started off, yes, on the commercial side, and then that evolved because, you would imagine these CEOs, these CTOs, CFOs, these C-level suites, individuals, these executives, were asking, why can't I have this same, simplicity, this technology within my home? Why does it have to stop at 5 o'clock? No executives sign out at 5, but they're always there. But why does it have to stop there? So, so you would imagine that's the evolution into the residential space. Being able to manufacture all of these different components, we've had the evolution there as well. So let's start with our lighting control. Lighting control we've had since the beginning of the residential space. And that's evolved from not just controlling lighting. We now actually manufacture our own fixtures for our tunable LED fixtures. Again, making sure you have that reliability, that continued communication within our different components. Shades, we manufacture our own shades, and that's evolved as well. So we've always had our hardwired roller shades. We also manufacture drapery kits, Roman shade kits, and such. So you do have those options. And now, as the needs changed, we have our wireless shades. So looking at, those different rooms that perhaps were overlooked in, day one, now we're able to address that as well. Control, we already talked about how in the past it was all custom programming. So it was a great product, of course, and it still is a great product. We still do offer a lot of custom programming out there. With the invention and the addition of Crestron Home, like we said, it's a lot less custom programming, if at all. It's addressable to all markets. We can really just get in there, whether it's a smaller apartment, which we do have a lot of. We do have multifamily as far as the rentals go, all the way to your single family home with different, outposts within. You have your single family with the main home, you have your guest house, your pool house, and all of that. And Crestron Home can actually address all of those markets, those and everything in between.
Right. And it's OS4. Is that where we are now on Crestron Home? What are some of the key points about the 4th edition of that, some of the innovations there?
Yeah. So we are in OS4. You're absolutely right. That was just introduced within this last month. And some of the things that you're seeing are, so it's been consistent. So you'll have the same experience that you had for the first 3 iterations of Crestron Home. So we didn't just spring something on those end users out there. It's consistent, but it's a lot more streamlined. So you'll have some of the spaces that you just want to control individually, and you can still dial down into individual rooms. But to simplify everything, we actually have on your main page the ability to just to control one subsystem. So all of your lighting within the entire home, within the entire space, you can address it in one shot. So you have that on one.
Address it. You're talking about the consumer, the homeowner themselves, right? That there's a self-programming and self-control capability, and it doesn't have to all be at the hands of an integrator who's charging whatever it is an hour to do the programming. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So you can address them all yourself. You can create new lighting scenes if you'd like. Let's say that you have a specific type of mood that you like to create. You can do that all yourself. And, this has evolved. In the beginning, we wanted to see really, it was a little bit more closed off, but now that we're seeing that the client is a lot more comfortable with using technology and a lot more confident in using the technology, we have given that ability to the end user. So you're able to do that. It's a lot more streamlined, like we said, not just in the interface, how you interact with the system, but yes, like you said, just, even just creating your own scenes and your own environments.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Crestron Home, as a UI, kind of the core functionality, because you and I have walked through that a few times, and the UI, the user interface, I think most of our TecHome builder followers know that acronym at this point, UI, but it's very intuitive, and where you guys have really gone is actual pictures of the rooms as the access points as somebody dives in deeper to the system. That's not cartoon icons and stuff like that, which makes it more intuitive, right? It's like, oh, people might not call something a kitchen or that room. They might call it something else. You see the picture of that room, you know what you're doing as the homeowner. So I really like that in terms of your UI engineering. But you guys have this is your gig, right? User interface, human factors engineering. It's like making things intuitive, fast, pleasant to work with versus like, oh, I have to reprogram myself to run this control. Can you talk a little bit more at that?
Yeah. So the way that Crestron Home is designed, that interface is so easy. And I love the word that you use, intuitive, that anyone that's touched a smartphone in the last decade, let's say, can pick this up and figure it out. You can, we do have the icons so that everybody can use it. It doesn't matter your reading ability. So you can have the kids use it. They know exactly when they see the light bulb, that's how we're going to control our lights. So you do have the icons that help you to navigate through. So like I said, if you've touched a smartphone in the last 10 years, you can pick this up and really just navigate on your own and really pick it up super easily. You talked about some of the pictures as well. So that's something that we've also given the end user the ability to edit. So you can pick it up. You can pick up your tablet, your phone, whatever the case. If you have a camera on there, you can update that picture however many times you want. So let's say you've added another architectural element that you just want to highlight when you're looking at this interface because you'll be using it every day. You can change that on your own. So it really does become such a personalized experience, but also consistent. So everyone can customize that. But whether it's you using your, the interface at your Boston home or you're going down to the Florida home, you're going to see that it's consistent across the board.
Very good. Is there more that we should get into in terms of your process and approach for working with builders? Is there one set of techniques that you use for a luxury? I mean, you guys have a lot of experience in the luxury kind of estate space where you start talking about the guest house instead of the guest room. I think we know what you're talking about. But there's this whole world of semi-custom, homes, which are 3,000 to 5,000 square feet. There isn't a whole guest house, but like that may be a different type of builder than the builder that's building $5-10 million homes per year. Do you have kind of separate teams or separate processes or separate ways that you engage your integrator partners with those different types of single family builders?
Well, like I said, when we learn about a project, we really do learn about the scope because there are going to be integrators that are going to be very well versed in your single family home and, whatever size that might look like versus the integrator that is working on the multifamilies. There's a lot of nuances between the two that we have to consider when we give the builders, our partners, these referrals. So really just giving us the understanding and letting us, take take partnership with you as early as possible. There is nobody out there, whether on the manufacturing side or the integrator side, that is going to say it's too early to involve us in the discussions. Because if it's in design, even if it's in inception, we have people really just call us and contact us saying, this is something that is going to be, completed in 2030. Construction is not going to even start until X year, and we've not even put pen to paper yet officially. But let's talk through what we need to do to understand and to really prepare this home, prepare this property for technology integration. So we'll have things that perhaps are going to be day one integrations and day one designs, but they know that there's going to be day two. Perhaps there's going to be an extension planned for when the next part is ready. We're able to just speak to that. We're able to plan for that and really just make that home ready as far as the technology goes and the infrastructure goes.
Yep. So 50 years of not only surviving, but really in a leadership role. What sort of advice do you have for other manufacturers on how to have sustained innovation like Crestron has for so many years? What do you think the keys are?
It really is understanding the market, and the market, not just, any specific demographic or any specific specifying team, really just understanding what the people out there are looking for, because you're going to have to evolve. And it doesn't matter if you evolve just for the sake of evolution. You have to evolve to address the growing needs. Like what are we looking for as far as the end users go, as far as the homeowners go? What kind of investment do they want to make in these technologies that we're manufacturing? So really just getting an understanding of what the end user is looking at, what the builders and other specifiers are looking at, and really just evolving with that. We would not, if we were still doing what we were doing 50 years ago, we would probably have some big problems. I mean, you probably don't even have the same cell phone that you had 5 years ago. So why would we still have the same technology that we started off with 50 years ago?
Right. And you've worked with a bunch of builders. What's your advice to them in terms of leveraging home technology, innovations in that area to create strategic advantage? What do you wish they would all kind of how they would look at it or how they would execute on it? Any thoughts there?
The biggest thing that I would say is really just preparing the space. So whether you're going to actually have technology integrated into the space at the initial build, or just prepare the space for future builds, you have to prepare the space. You have to have that infrastructure in there. So again, if let's say that you're selling a space that is going to have no technology, make it ready for that technology. Pre-wire for absolutely everything, because at the wiring stage and that cabling stage, it's going to be pennies on the dollar at that point. So if you're going to allow the buyer to upgrade to technology at a later stage, they're able to do that very easily, rather than having to open up walls and do some major renovations down the line. So I would say definitely for the building community, have that infrastructure in place, if not have the technology in place at the time, but having that infrastructure in place at its inception really helps to make that a competitive space. And then also for some of our multifamily builders that we work with, depending on the market, I know right now I'm in New York City, there's a lot of inventory here. So what makes a space competitive is not just that it's smart home ready. You might want to consider a base package. And that can be a base package that can be expanded upon, again, with that pre-wiring, having that infrastructure available. But having that base package makes it very, very competitive within those markets. So those are definitely some things to consider.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us. It's a big company with a long story, and we didn't have the hours that we would probably be able to, need to cover it all. But thanks for the great summary, JoAnn. And thanks to Crestron for being a leader in this space and really engaged with the builders as well. And that's it for today's session. We'll see you next time.